sort of a routine mission, airway mission. This is my second of the day in that airplane. I'd flown with a young pilot named Miller in the morning. Danny Eccles as the number 2. Fairly routine. I did think the airplane just, it was a sixth sense thing. I didn't think it was quite right in the morning. And Miller didn't write it up. There was nothing that he wrote. He was a very young pilot. In the afternoon I flew it again, only this time with Don Tokar, who was my regular pilot. After, there was a solid undercast that looked like it was cotton wool from horizon to horizon. You couldn't see anything below it. And we got over the Peak District, set up with Dave Morgan and Ken Lott in the other airplane, set up to do our maneuvers, and we did a couple, and on the third or fourth engagement, I wasn't paying any attention to the inside of the airplane because I was sort of strapped a little bit, and I was looking back to call the maneuver as the other guys were attacking. We were the defender. You know, in the F4, our job is not like the fighter with the guns and the rockets. Our job isn't to get to somebody's 6 o'clock position so you can shoot him down. Our motto in reconnaissance business was we kill him with film. And so our job is to get cockpit to cockpit separation and get the hell out fast. And so I was actually looking back at the attacking airplane, and I knew we were going down. But I heard Don Tokar with a very sort of a frantic voice saying, "Pete, get out, get out." And that's all I needed to know, because in this business, things happen so fast, you're spring-loaded to that kind of, you're mentally attuned to do things fast. And I heard, "Pete, get out, get out." I was gone. I punched out, and later on he told me 3 times, "Get out, get out, get out." But I didn't hear the third one. By the time he said it twice, I was gone. And I must have grayed out. There are 2 things I distinctly remember. One is that solid undercast that was so prominent. I really thought we were going to hit the ground, honest to God. Even though we were 18,000 feet, I really thought we were close to the ground because that solid white, dense white undercast below us, completely clear on top, dense white undercast. I thought we were going to hit the ground because the safety magazines, our flying safety magazines, were full of incidents telling you, don't wait. You know, guys that waited too late to punch out, hit the ground, still strapped in their seats. We had a 0-0 seat, but if you were sinking, the 0-0 didn't work. You had to be either straight and double or going up or something. But if you're going down, the 0-0 didn't work because you're going to rocket yourself into the ground. I thought we were going to hit the ground. All I could think of, I was very calm, wasn't excited. The only thing I could think of was, will you feel anything at that instant when you hit the ground and the lights go out? Will you feel it? It's kind of bizarre, but that's the only thing I could think of. My lights didn't flash in front of me. All I could think of, I'm going to hit the ground at 600 miles an hour, and do you feel anything just before you die? So, the mountain breaker seat has a unique characteristic. I don't know if anybody told you this. So when you eject, you do a 360, a back 360. The seat just does that, and I did that. I did a complete 360 in the seat because I guess they do that. My mask got ripped, oxygen mask got ripped off. We were going well over 600 knots. So it was up 0.97, 0.98. We were pretty fast. And pointed straight down. And the Phantom picks up speed very, very fast when you point it straight down. My gloves got sucked off. Mask got ripped off. And I think I grayed out because I had no oxygen. And I don't remember free falling, but we did. The seat designed that you free fall until you get somewhere around 14,500 feet when a barometric sensing you shoot senses, or your seat senses the altitude you're going through. And a man seat separator kicks you out of the seat. You're falling with a little drogue parachute stabilizing your seat so you're not tumbling. So you're falling with a little parachute over the seat. Man seat separator kicks out around 14,500 feet. Then your chute deploys, the seat falls away. And that's what happened. And the only thing I remember was the whoomph when my chute opened and I sort of started getting conscious again. I think I'd grayed out. I'm not sure if the seat had worked automatically. I'd be around to recovered. I would have recovered enough to have pulled the D-ring manually. It worked automatically, and there must have been a hell of a wind there because I literally, it was like a pendulum. I was flying. My body was going from horizon to horizon, horizontally horizon. I was swinging back and forth. And then I looked up and I could see sky through my parachute. Through my parachute. Oh God, I got holes in my parachute. It turns out the panels being being burned away with the hot drilled bullet, as we thought later, as I thought at the time. And I could see Don Tokar below me. And I passed him up. I was just falling a hell of a lot faster than he was falling because I had less of a parachute than he did. And as I passed him up, I remember shouting to him because he was probably 300-400 yards away. And I said, "Yeah, Donnie, all right?" And he sort of shouted back to me, "Yeah, okay." I should have said, "Well, I'll see you later," because I was passing him up. I didn't. I was just looking down. Oh God! I saw it later on turned out to be Curbar Edge down there. I said, "This is bad news. If I lie on the top of this thing and get pulled over the edge of it, this doesn't look good." But I really saw that. It turned out to be Curbar Edge and hoped I wouldn't have a problem with it. As it was, Don landed below it because he had a full chute and he was maneuvering his chute a little bit. He smashed into the rocks, fractured his femur at the bottom. Because I landed so fast, I landed half mile to a mile upwind from Curbar Edge and got dragged over the moors, and I couldn't collapse my chute. But you need two hands to collapse the chute, to unhook the risers on the clutch risers on the F4 on the Martin Baker seat. My left hand was practically paralyzed. I still got a lump over there. It was just paralyzed and useless. And one eye was closed. I got hit, something going out. So I only had one hand. I couldn't collapse my parachute. So I got dragged like a cork, just bouncing along really fast along the top of the ridge. And I knew that Curbar Edge would turn out to be Curbar Edge. A big drop-off was coming up. I thought, God, I hope I can stop before I get there. Because if I go headfirst over that, I'm toast. To some miracle, I don't know how, I came to a rest inches from that edge, with my parachute over the edge. How I stopped, I don't know. Must have hit a rock or something, but my dinghy was dangling down, my parachute was dangling over the edge. Everything was dangling over the edge, thank God, except me. And I got up, didn't know exactly where Don was. I got my emergency radio up, talked to the wingman. And the wingman, Dave Morgan, get a lot of. I could see them making a low pass. They had enough fuel for one low pass, and I was talking to them on the radio, and I basically said, "You've seen us, go down to all the command posts and get the rescue going, because here we are." And that's what they did. They rogered it and took off and got things going. Meanwhile, people from the village, Curbar, had seen us floating down. And they started their own rescue operation. A couple of guys literally ran up non-stop in the hill. They'd call the police and got everything going. The RAF helicopter came, and they did a great job in getting Don extricated from he was wedged up among the rocks. And now this time, I'd been led down by Brian Whitaker, and was sitting on a stone fence. Somebody came roaring up from the village in a car, and it turned out to be Malcolm Village. He asked me if I'd like a drink. I basically said, "Well, yes, yeah, I'd love one." So I said, "What have you got?" No, he said, "What do you have?" I said, "What do you got?" "Oh, whiskey, I got beer, I got brandy." I stopped there. I said, "Brandy sounds really good about now." I could only see out of one eye. One hand's paralyzed. The medics of the RF medics, the paramedics have bandaged my hand up because I was cut. There were cuts everywhere. So he turned around, raced back down to the house, raced back up. Oh, I told him also, I hate to drink alone. I said, "If you'll join me in one, I'll have one." So he comes racing back up with a bottle of brandy and 2 glasses. So we clinked and cheered and and had the brandy while they were taking care of poor Don. And I felt kind of guilty. I mean, here he was, broken leg, great pain. I'm sitting on the fence having a brandy with one of the villagers. Our helicopter couldn't reach this far, H-43. They didn't have range to come this far. So our RAF helicopter came from Hull, Leconfield, RAF Leconfield near Hull. It took us to Finningley, I think it was. Yeah. Then our chopper met us at Finningley, and while they were stabilizing down, the RAF station commander took me into the mess. At Finningley, and I looked like hell. Suit, flying suit and shrubs. One eye, half my face just black and bruised. One hand bandage for useless. And I got to hand it to the people in the mess. Nobody batted an eyelid when I walked in. The guy behind the bar asked me what I wanted, and didn't. And the station commander said, "Well, put it on his tab." And only when I'd had the beer, and he turned around and announced to the waiting crowd what had happened. You know. So we got in our chopper, flew back. They instantly took Don to our big hospital in Lakenheath because this tire was fractured in so many places they couldn't even pit it. They just had to put him in traction, and he was there for 3 months. I was in hospital for 3 days to my shoulder. For some reason, I almost yanked out of the sockets. I couldn't raise my hands. And after 3 days, I got out, resumed flying, and Don was permanently crippled. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.